Man, I think the hero, I think she's underrated. I think she's a lot of fun to play. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. How you been?
I've been good. I've been good. I know like last time we talked about, me streaming. I
Mm-hmm.
got my stream set up. I just
Nice.
recently hit 200 followers,
Nice. Wait,
got like
I gotta drop a follow here. Hang on, let me
oh,
put it.
thank you so
Keep
much. Thank
keep
you.
going.
My
Keep going.
mod just shouted you out.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for shouting out Spylo Pixion. If y'all don't know who Spylo is, which I mean, thank you so much Spylo for the follow, but if y'all don't know who
Of course.
Spylo is, you really should know who Spylo is.
All right, I'm redeeming stretch. Get fricked, buddy. Get your stretch going right now. Redeem my channel points.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Okay.
Okay. So Sem, how's practice been? It's been like I guess almost right at a solid year now. So how's practice been?
It's been good. I don't know what's going on, if I'm being honest.
Yeah,
I did
I got
really
you.
good. I managed to hit top 500 the
Excellent.
other season, and then I just could not win games, if I'm being
Okay.
honest. I was like could not win games and dropped down to diamond again. Same scenario as last time, and I haven't been rage queuing like I was before.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
I think honestly it might just be a lack of playing the game because my hours have decreased a lot.
Sure, sure. It's always a tricky balance, right? It's like finding like playing consistently, excuse me, but not then rage queuing. Like the raw amount of hours doesn't matter that much. It's the quality and the quantity at the same time. So, okay, fair enough. Sounds good. And if you were to, you said you didn't know what's happened, but if you had to guess, do you have any ideas?
I think I have a hard time adjusting my playstyle to the revolving metas of Overwatch.
Ah, okay,
If
okay.
I noticed that a bit earlier, like I haven't been playing that much. I don't know how to play against Hazard.
Yep. Yep, he's tough for sure.
Um,
Are there any metas besides Hazard that have given you a particularly tricky problem, or maybe even just heroes, like screw metas, just heroes that have given you issue?
Junkrat is my biggest fear. I know you never
Yeah,
really see him, but I
you do
hate Junkrat.
occasionally. I mean, if I were to pull up, if I were to look at overbuff, which isn't perfect, but like let's look at diamond pick rate the last month. I mean, his pick rate isn't in the gutter here. Where is the damage heroes here? Roll damage. Yeah, I mean he's 2% pick rate, which is that's not low. Like
Yeah.
that's higher than Mei, Hanzo, Echo, Sombra, Tor, Pharah, Bash, Adventure, and
Okay.
Symmetra. So like you're twice as likely or three times as likely to see a Junkrat as you are a Symmetra. So yeah, I mean you're likely to run into him. Okay,
Yeah.
so Junkrat, bit of a bad matchup for you. You said Hazard already. Any other maps, matchups, macro metas come to mind?
For me, it's the newer game mode where it's you capture
Clash.
three clash. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
feel like it's really good for Sim, but I noticed that since it's really good for Sim to kind of be able to take all those angles that they have on those maps, that I get really greedy, and I don't notice it until I die.
Yeah, it could be. It could be. Okay. Okay. So Clash, Junkrat,
Yeah.
Hazard. Anything else?
That is pretty much all I can think of.
Okay, sounds good. So I'm gonna keep that in the back burner for right now, and just quickly go through your form and see if anything stands out to me.
Okay.
I'm sure in our previous session you remembered how we talked about like training schedule, playtime, warm up, all that kind of stuff. Do you have any questions from the basics, fundamentals of approaching training?
No, we've been I've been reviewing my comp games after because last time I was struggling a lot. I don't know if you remember, I was struggling a lot with planning my turrets out. I would
Yep,
throw my
I
turrets out
remember.
and then
Yep, I remember the cycle was like plan, turret, position, so on.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've gotten a lot better at that, I think. I even
Okay.
had one of my other Symmetra top 500 sim players watch me and he's like, "Oh, look, you're doing good now."
Good. 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 Okay.
But it's
Sounds good.
just I really think, in the back burner is timing. I misunderstand timing a lot.
Yeah, okay. We can talk a little bit more about like the advanced basics of timing. I think the first thing that I want to consider is like the two things that are probably going wrong if you are experiencing an unexpected drop in rank is either something wrong with your schedule, either you're not playing enough or you're doing like these degen schedules and tilt queuing, right? Which you said you're not tilt queuing, but you might have some issues with quantity, all right?
Yes.
And the second one is meta, right? Meta's shift. Heroes come into play a little bit more often. Heroes that you don't know how to play as often, or don't know how to play versus. So we'll take a look at that. Hazard being versus Sem, probably not the greatest matchup in the history of the universe. That might be part of it. Okay, I want to improve Symmetra. I feel like mentality is holding me back as I'm a Sim. Of course, I lose a women because of the DPS have better characters. My timing engages in my TP getting involved in my turns. Yeah, so here's the reality of the situation. Like, I don't think it's inaccurate to say that, oh, it's Sim, of course I lose that engagement, right? I think that, like, if you put any DPS in their optimal situation, I think Symmetra might be one of the worst DPSs in the entire game.
Yeah.
You get Widow on range, you get Reaper up close, you get Tracer with triple blinks, you get Junkrat with 2 mines. You're just not going to win any 1v1 under any situation. What makes Symmetra unique is the amount of situations where you can give yourself slight edges. Okay, so you want to talk about like what the definition of utility is. It's always having an edge that you can give yourself. Okay. What's your edge as Symmetra versus a Widowmaker? And I don't even want you to think about like, oh, I can block her shots with my turrets. I mean, that's true, but like think more fundamental. What's your edge versus a Widowmaker?
I can reposition quicker.
You could reposition, right? So you could take any angle that you want. What's your edge versus a Tracer?
I can 2-tap her.
You could 2-tap her, right? Harder said than done. So, but at what range do you want to take that duel, preferably?
Out of her 1-clip range.
Out of her 1-clip range, right? Keep her at range. And then even your turrets, right? Like your turrets, if you position around your turrets, are a distraction and kind of compression on her ability to play around you, right? What's your advantage versus, I don't know. Let's just start bringing in tanks here. Like, what's your advantage versus a Rein? What do you do versus a Rein?
Build beam and pressure.
Build beam and pressure, right? Like even the slow from turrets, annoying, right? What's your advantage? What's your utility like versus a Roadhog? Weird one, right?
Yeah. I guess I'm more mobile than him.
Yeah, you could just kind of reposition and poke him, like constantly play outside of his range without him. Like you shouldn't really interact with him all that much, right? So basically what it is it's like you always have an edge over every single hero. And honestly, not every single character can say that, right? You look at a character like Reaper, he plays one way and only one way. He's the antithesis of utility in many ways, right? Whereas you always have the tool. So you're like, oh, I should never win that duel versus a Genji. Well, it depends. Did you have a turret? Did you hit your alt fire? Did you force his deflect while he was at 15 meters or did you not? You get what I'm saying? That's the question you have to ask yourself. Oh, of course I didn't beat the Widowmaker. Well, were you on the right angle? Did you catch her by surprise with your first alt fire? If the answer is no, then yeah, of course you're not going to win that 1v1. Of course you're not going to win that 1v1. So we got to look at like every single angle, every single engagement that you have, every single duel, and be like, were you using that utility? Were you giving yourself that edge? Because the reality is that's what makes Symmetra hard, is that you do have to think more than most DPS in terms of finding that utility. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if you're feeling like a little bit of like victim mentality, I do think if you're playing Sim like at a floor in most circumstances, especially if you're one-tricking her, you are going to be thinking probably a little more than most people. But at the same time, that you signed up for that, right? That thinking is satisfying. That's like you and I both know that. That's one of the most satisfying things in gaming is outbraining somebody. Okay. Any questions?
No.
Okay.
I do want to say that, like, while I'm still mainly a Sim player, I did pick up other heroes.
I see that. I
found it was a lot easier because, like, Sim, I just felt like I couldn't do anything when I was like in certain situations.
What situations? Was it anything to do with the Junkrat situations that we talked about earlier?
Well, when I got into top 500, a lot of players were better than me.
Yeah.
And I was getting, I might have been the time I was king, but I was getting really weird wide ranges within top 500, and I feel like the differences between, because I was 484, that's like barely top 500.
Yep.
And I was getting queued, with like Vulture and Kefri and stuff like that, and I was like, these people are greatly better at the game than me.
Yeah,
so And I just had an easier time playing against them on like another hit scan because. I can aim. I just choose Symmetra because I like the character.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, that's fair. Like, you do you, mate. Like, there are going to be some circumstances. What I would say is I would try to bend less to social pressure and more to macro pressure, or more mapped pressure. So for me, it's like, I wouldn't swap off of Symmetra because you're in a Kefri game. Make his life miserable in Symmetra. What I would do is I would swap if I'm playing into Vulture Unleashing Tower Control Center, right?
Yeah.
Because he's gonna I can't avoid him. Like it's so hard, right? Like you theoretically could, but it's basically it's not the fact that it's Vulture, it's the fact that he's a Junkrat player on that map. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. QB when me and Vulture came friends and we tried queuing one tricking Sim Junkrat because I was like he's the best Junkrat out there and I was like man this is a lot harder because I just kept queuing into him on that one map.
yeah, exactly. So it's like I would try to be a little bit more objective about it, because if you queue into a player that's like really good or significantly better than you, maybe you're just a crack addict, but it doesn't really matter. It shouldn't matter what hero you play. You're going to struggle. That's just the nature of the matchmaker, right?
Yeah.
It's going to, but there's also somebody in the enemy team who has the exact same issue. You just need to do the best that you can. There's going to be one fraud in each team, and okay, just accept it and do the best that you can and play your comfort hero at that point. I would be more open to you swapping if it's a situation where the hero is the problem. You get what I'm saying? Whether it's the map or, I can't place Sim into this composition or whatever else. So that I understand. But also at the same time, if you like playing hitscan, play hitscan.
Yeah.
Just all right. So I'm gonna give you a quick crash course here on
Got it.
Hazard, Junkrat, and I'm going to skip Clash because you said it may be more your mentality about things. I don't think you play any differently necessarily in Clash, outside of being more willing to reposition quickly when fights are won and lost so you don't stagger, because I don't want to be here. I want to just go practice range. So Hazard is really just about managing your distance and managing your distance and managing your distance and managing your distance, and that's pretty much it. Because he is a hybrid tank, he will not be able to keep up with your teleports if you're teleporting a proper distance. He is mobile, but he should not be mobile enough to keep tempo with you when you teleport away. That's generally a rule. That's not a hard rule. Technically, if he uses one dash and then uses another dash, in theory, there's going to be a brief window where you're not going to have teleporter yet. But the big thing with Hazard is just basically play to avoid him whenever you possibly can. Now, there's exceptions to that rule. If you feel like he's low or you see an opportunity or you got a tier 3 beam. I actually think when you're tier 3, you can pretty much play patty cake with any tank as long as you have a little bit of pocket. But just keep that in mind. Go ahead.
Really quick, I just have a question, because what I noticed a lot in my games is like the Hazard will dive backline on my supports. And
yes.
I'm like, at this point, do I just play backline with my supports and, kind of beam him? Because like that's what I found that sort of worked.
Sure. So the rule always with every character, almost without exception in Overwatch, especially DPS and tank characters, is you never, ever, ever peel back, ever. Okay. Unless there's nothing to shoot with where you're at. So if I'm on this angle here and there's somebody to shoot here, but there's something going on over there, I don't care. This is my job. Because when you spend time, resources, cooldowns to go back to deal with a threat, that is an inefficient use of resources as opposed to just using the value that you have right here. And what it means is it's not so much even about trading backlines, but what you do is you enable the Hazard's backline by peeling the Hazard.
Okay.
So if you're here and the Hazard dives your supports right here, you know what you should do? Beam the Hazard. But if you're here and Hazard's way over there and there's somebody here, you cannot go backwards. You absolutely cannot go backwards. And that's not just a Hazard rule. That's an any tank rule. Okay. Do what's convenient. Because you give up too much space, right? You lose. And not only might you be too late, it'll be inefficient, but then you also have a problem where like you might go backwards, teleport is broken, right? And now you're stuck in a bad angle, even if you did quote unquote peel the Hazard. So always, always, always play where I'm at. That's what I do. It's opportunity cost, right?
Okay. Because if he's going on my supports, then I can go on his supports, and he technically can't peel back for his. And then
exactly, like or maybe it's you take a DPS duel, or maybe you it doesn't matter. Like it really doesn't matter. It could be a Sombra in your backline, and you trade the Hazard, or the Hazard the backline. It doesn't matter. You do whatever's convenient. That's why you always prioritize your positioning first, because you're confident that no matter what is there, I can at least get value.
Okay.
Always play your value first. That's not just a selfish, ranked teammates are bad. That even in scrimmages, high level pro play, it's the same thing. You never go back.
It goes back to the first coaching session. What you said is play like the rat you are.
Right, exactly. You set yourself up for success and you worry about what value I can get from that position. Really important. Any other
Yeah.
questions?
That is it that I had for now.
Okay, so for Hazard, mostly a game of keep away. I think turrets can be pretty useful in terms of distracting, just like with any mobile character. I think one of the like little micro things that you can do is I think his ultimate, your ultimate is fairly good versus it's not going to block it to my knowledge, but it might be able to split his follow up from his team. And I believe I'm not sure, you might want to fact check this on this, but you may be able to teleport out of the ult. I'm not sure. So if you get rooted, you might be able to teleport yourself out. I don't know if that's the case.
I'm pretty sure you can't.
Okay, well, that's a disaster and disregard any information I give you on that front.
But I'll be honest, I haven't played against Hazard enough, and I usually don't. Hey, Tree, thanks for joining. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine. Totally fine. Streamer things. Yeah, I get it. But yeah, beyond that, mostly just a game of keep away. Like a lot of his mechanics, whether it's his verticality, his slash, there aren't really things that you can block. So you just kind of have to play keep away. Treat him like a slightly less lethal Doomfist, essentially, is what you're doing. But the difference between him and Doomfist is that it is easier to stay away from him than it is versus Doomfist. Doomfist is basically impossible to stay away. For Junkrat, now Junkrat's an interesting one. Junkrat, you obviously have to look at the rest of his composition, like is there a Tracer, is there a Winston, et cetera, but you really need a full-on flanker mode versus Junkrat. Like you lose and spam down main, your wall gets broken quickly, he can reliably break your turrets pretty fast. You just go full rat mode, like right what we were saying a second ago. Like he is one of the quintessential vulnerable to flank heroes. And between your teleport, between your shield HP, between your ranged poke, you could basically just, again, kind of treat him like Hazard and just harass him and his team constantly from angles that he can't touch. General rule, that's why I said something like a Leeching Tower Control Center can be tricky because you don't necessarily have those broad flanks. But yeah, don't play pad cake with him up close, like almost ever, even with tier 3 beam. Just play keep away and deny him value because there's nothing worse than a Junkrat that can't shoot anything.
Okay.
There's nothing worse. That's why I'll get like a Junkrat player and like watch point Gibraltar attack, and I'm like, oh gosh, like it's over, right? Because he's not gonna be able to shoot anything. Everything's gonna play around him, and that you need to be using that SM. It's kind of we go back to our utility, right? What's my advantage versus that character? Use that advantage. Your advantage is your range. Your advantage is your mobility. It's not your brawl potential.
Okay.
Good question.
And then my last one is because on our first coaching session, I kind of struggled against dive because dive is just meta right now. And I kind of came up with a general formula, and I wanted to get your idea.
Show me what you got.
So it's the acronym's like SPAR. Okay. And S stands for scouting.
Yes. Excellent.
P is preventing.
Yep. How do you prevent?
Like I'm, trying to get, take my angles, my off angles, set up a defensive kill box. If Winston's diving in, I'm gonna hit the Genji so he's low and can't dive with that. Yeah.
So set up. So basically, you're scouting. You're preventing by a little bit of poke, getting some denying some angles, maybe some turrets and so on. Okay, gotcha.
Then what? My A is absorb. So if they dive me and I can't survive or don't have peel for my support because maybe I'm just button bubble, I teleport out. Yep. And then on rotate, after the Winston and Genji or the other dive characters have used their cooldowns, I push them forward because at this point they're typically low.
Right. So it's you're less of a tempo character in the fact that like you don't have the same level of vulnerability outside of your teleport. So like you teleport away. If you're still in a position to push them post cooldown, you do. If you didn't have to teleport away, you just keep pushing. Right. Yeah, that's great, mate. Love it. Excellent job. I love the positioning side of thing is really leaning into like the scouting and the early poke, like getting those long poke angles. But then you have that moment where you have to live that burst window of timing, that absorb, right? And then pushing. Yeah, love it. Good stuff.
Okay. I started coaching, like you said. So
yeah, it's good. It's
trying my best, but it's still
cute little acronym, and it definitely works. It definitely works. Nice job.
It doesn't like compare to your coaching, but I've been trying.
It's apples to oranges. That's really good. That's really good. Okay. So SPAR, I like that a lot. Maybe I'll use that. I'll steal your terminology and just pretend that I made it up.
Go ahead. You got permission.
All right. You want to take a look at some gameplay or any other questions here?
Yeah. I was hoping we can do some live coaching today.
Yeah, let's do it. Totally
done. Do you want me to share my screens on Discord?
If you can. I don't know how your frames will be, but it would be better for me because if I look at your stream, it'll be like 2 or 3 second delay.
My stream will be fine. Let me know if it lags, but it typically is fine.
Should be fine, I'm sure. Okay, it doesn't even need to be that high quality. 720/30 is fine for me. It doesn't need to be perfect.
Okay.
Alrighty.
Okay, chat. Let's get this started. Spilo, get prepared to watch some dog shit
I'm ready
game.
for it. I'm ready for it. So all we'll do is we'll kind of lean into kind of what I was talking about, which is create your advantage. What is your advantage? Like, is it more poke? Is it the more mobility? Is it going to be the ability to do some super deep flanks? I mean, honestly, I hate to say it, but sometimes it's if isn't there and you've got the front line for it, sometimes it's just beam the tank, right? But even that, it's going to be from a bit of an off angle, a little bit of covers. So, okay.
The times I've done that, I'm queuing with hey Estel, I've been like I'll be with like my tanks down and I have like a pocket, like a mercy pocket, or
Sure.
someone who can reliably pocket me. I'll be like, I can hybrid, obviously situation dependent,
Of
but
course.
I'll call out, I can hybrid tank this for a few seconds before
Yeah.
I have to push back if
Yeah.
I think it's winnable.
Yep.
Okay.
I love when this happens. It's deciding if it wants to let you play or not. I somehow knew this map was going to be the case. I literally had Hollywood in my mind. Okay.
Oh, it's Synesthesia. What's he doing down here?
Down here.
Is that actually the same one I know? Oh, I'm sorry. I got ADHD. I get so distracted.
I think. Oh well, gee whiz. There you go. I was gonna say fairly decent sim map. Second point's pretty rough, but I like first and third. Well, that was that.
That was that. But I guess like this kind of brought up this for like this map specifically. When you're on defense, I feel like sometimes I can get too aggro, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because really, I feel like I should be
dopamine.
like just
It's dopamine chasing, really,
Okay.
is what it is. Yeah, it's really common with heroes that have like either like really good poke or really good self sustain. Hog is a classic one where you just like I can get dopamine by shooting early, and I just want to keep going, like right. But either you mess up your timing. We talked about that a little earlier, right? You felt like you weren't fully understand timing. What I'd like to do is I'd like to do some live coaching, and then depending on how the game goes, maybe jump into the replay viewer afterwards, and maybe we can talk about the timing, or the good and the bad afterwards, if that works for you. But yeah, I mean, it's easy to get sucked into just like, oh, I just want to constantly be shooting. But okay, this one. So this is going to be
this is max range.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be where you're going to have to flex your utility muscles, right? So, finding your poke angles and/or finding your flanks depending on the situation, right? And the worst is when they're in hybrid comps, right? They come out in a Widow Trace, and you're like, man, what am I supposed to do versus that, right? So you're going to have to be creative. So let's roll out in what I like to call a generic angle, right? Just what probably will be fine. And then as soon as you can, follow your SPAR terminology. Scout, get a little poke, and decide what you want to do from there.
And then I want to get your opinion on this. What is the synergy between? Is there a synergy between Sim and Hazard at all?
There's no direct synergy. No, but like with any dive tank, he's tempo oriented, where he's very valuable. And if you could pay attention to those windows of value, you could really you could play aggro off of him, right?
Okay.
But again, he is going to be in and out, so find your generic angle and think about where you should position.
I typically like to kind of go to the side here.
Sure.
Or if the tank's going here, I'll go here.
Yep. I like it. So we see Ryan, we see Ana. Juno. Go ahead and press tab here for their DPS, if you will, as soon as you can. Venture Genji.
I'm gonna heal back.
Yeah. I mean, this fight's pretty much lost because of your team. But this is like, let's while we're like escaping here, think about their front line, think about their DPS line. What's your advantage?
Genji, I can bait out his cooldown when he's 15 meters away. Venture, I don't get close to her.
Yeah, don't get close. So it's all about managing your range. So I want you to find non-front line angles with a little bit of poke.
Okay.
Because you're gonna get butchered in that front line.
He's on 3 seconds.
Yep. There's the Genji. What's your advantage? Do it.
Oh shit! I hit tab. No.
That's all right.
I tabbed out of the game. Okay.
Pro streamer, by the way.
Hazard's here. Gonna go after this Ana.
Yeah, just die on this if you don't get it because your team's lost. Okay.
Okay, I need to calm down. I need to calm
Yeah,
down.
yeah. I mean, this is live coaching. This is pressure, right? There's a lot of pressure on you. You don't need to worry about your responsibility though. You just need to do just the basics. That's all.
Oh, I have a 26 damage Sojourn.
All right, Venture Genji, Ryan. Where's your angle? Where's your advantage?
Genji's here, so I'm gonna.
Can you push that?
Do this. I'm gonna push this Ryan for a bit.
Sure. Now
Push
what?
this top.
Where's Genji?
No one's here. Genji bottom left.
Don't chase. Just go get your own value. Good stuff.
She's still there.
Yep. Accept. Sure.
I
And
peeled
that's
out on
where-
my.
Yeah, well, the thing is that's where you're like, you feel like I have enough at advantage because Simwall, but remember, that's not the utility that works versus that character, you know? Like, I know it's like a bronze tip, right? Like, you're like, oh, I should be fine, it's more, but you really got to think simply, right? It's Ryan. I don't play patty cake with Ryan.
Adjusting turret placement.
Secure and ready to move.
And then typically I like to sit here on the high ground.
So this is where I'm gonna cheat for you, okay? They've got Venture ult, they've got Genji ult, okay? They also have Nano. So you need to do something silly in rat mode here, and that does not involve sitting in your back lane.
Okay.
Be nice and sneaky. Totally fine. Totally fine. The idea of what you did was fine. The execution was not. You need to be a little bit more
aware.
patient. Yeah, a little well that, but also a little bit more patient. But do you notice what happened? Press tab.
Turret is always appreciated.
1-for-1 Nano Blade. We'll take that.
Okay.
Teleporter taking shape.
And a lot of that was because of the chaos that you created.
No, I think they have Juno ult right now. When they come back, 'cause
she-
they just
she's
used
dead.
Juno.
Uh-huh,
Yeah.
So that was Venture ult, that was Genji ult. Where's your angle? What's your advantage versus this with? Sure.
I was too close away.
Well, partly.
Or too close.
But it goes back to the utility again, right? If you have 2 or 3
Yeah.
turrets there as you turn, totally fine. He's gonna die instantly.
Enemy team has
Okay.
found the robot. I have opened the door.
Every duel is not, oh, I lost to Genji because of course. It's why did I lose to Genji, right?
Okay.
There's always a solution to this character. Always.
Genji's there.
Adjusting
Yeah.
turret placement.
And they're gonna have Shatter soon.
So how should you position? Where should you be?
High ground.
That's fine. Just generally, you got there a little late, so you weren't able to really set up the angle that you wanted. That's okay. That one's Nano
Okay.
Blade, that's Shatter. We can live with that.
Chaos will not be unseated in a day. Teleporter taking shape.
Where's the Venture? Where's the Genji? Where's the Rhine? Play
Ryan's
keep away.
there. Venture's probably gonna sit up here.
So where should you be? Where's your advantage? Where's your utility?
I'm gonna go up here, set up turrets.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Not
You see it?
chasing.
You see it? You see it?
Yeah.
Good stuff. So the application of what we're talking about was using turrets more preventatively, right? But that's not always going to be the case. Like, what if they're on Widow, right? It's a totally different story. But all you did is you like, I'm going to take this angle. This is my advantage versus these heroes. And then you just took a 2v1. Right? Good stuff.
Yeah.
Now, where are they going to come from? What's your advantage? What should you do? Yeah,
Gonna come
sure.
from top right.
Think about your angle now. Think about your angle. Okay. Now you're gonna pop ult here, maybe, but I still don't want you to play your advantage. I still want you to play your strength. Don't chase Ryan. Find your own value.
Okay.
mean, it's fine. It's fine that you're here, but yeah. Good. You see, now you can beam. Good, 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 good. Nice. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Don't get shield eyes, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Unless it's convenient. All right, what angle? What's your advantage? Yep. Now, how should you play this angle? Right?
I'm just kind of, what I would do normally is I would beam this.
Uh-huh.
Or my TP went away. That's bad.
That's okay. That's okay. You were aware of it and reacted. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Good. Sure? All right, now what? I want more kills if you can get it. Don't force it. What's your advantage here? Uh-huh. I like this. This is good. All right, maybe out.
I'm dead.
That's okay. That's okay. It was just that last peak, right? You just wanted a little more damage, right? But you did good. The angle was good. Okay. Yep, just listen. Expect the push and have a... Yeah, there it is. You're already thinking. Good stuff. Now, Genji's going to push you here. Or Venture's going to push you here. So what's the contingency plan here?
Well, Venture has no dig. Genji
Yeah, look at you go. See, even here, you're like, I normally don't do this, but I know he's low, right? And I've got a tier 3 beam, so why not? Yeah, good stuff.
I can chase.
You can. Just use the cooldown, so... There it is. Good stuff. You're paying attention to that stuff, too. You hear that? That was good. Venture no burrow, I can push. Right. Good stuff. Really, really good stuff. Now what? We got Blade again. We got all this kind of crap coming up here, so...
I need to set up defensive turrets and a back away TP.
Maybe. What about a trade?
I can do trade,
right?
yeah, what you told me.
What about a trade? Yeah, but this time I want you to be a little bit more patient with the push.
Okay.
So same kind of idea, just be a little bit more slow. Yeah. Now just hold here. Yeah, just be patient. Now is anybody gonna push you here?
Genji here. Too far away from my TP.
That's okay. That's okay. The initial setup was good. It was good enough so that even though we forgot about Blade, it was still good. Still winnable, actually. Their respawns probably come back in, but... Alright, keep locked in, play your angle. Don't just do damage now, play your angle. Yes. Now, they might push you. Now be patient and poke.
I'm gonna rotate up here.
Yep, good stuff. Your time here is limited, so just... Yep, good. Good. Ah, that's close. Okay. Send me the replay code and let's take a look.
Okay.
Because this one was really good. This one was perfect. I think this was like exactly what we want to see in terms of like a problem solving game. And watching your progression from like moment to moment was really good. So we're gonna talk about timing. We're going to talk about turrets. And we're going to talk about positioning. Okay. So I have the... shoot, send that over.
Oh my god, did I not stream any of that gameplay?
Oh, I don't know.
I love that. It's okay. We were about to watch it right now.
All right. You in?
Yes, I am.
Okay. You did a good job. Really nice adjustments. I think you did something that was also really, really special, which was paying attention to cooldowns and kind of making decisions around those cooldowns, which was really, really impressive. So let's take a look. I like the decision to angle off from your Rhine. I don't like the random turrets without having a lot of information just yet, if that makes sense. That's kind of like something you do when there's like a good generic choke for them to walk through. But beyond that, you need to be a little bit more careful with it. Like right here, obviously, with the power of hindsight, what would you do with the information that you have? So you know Juno, you see Rhine, and like let's say you see Genji. What are you thinking? Let's start with turrets. Just turrets.
I would place them all the way on the left here. That way, if
Okay.
Juno backs up,
Like
she gets
here?
beamed.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. What is your advantage versus this composition? Venture, Genji, Rhine. What do you have over them?
Against Venture, Genji, Ryan.
How do you position
I-
versus them? We'll start with that.
I mean, they're gonna. Honestly, I don't know because I know like my advantage against all of them, but together I don't.
It's range.
Okay.
It's range for all of them. I think that's the important thing to remember. Tier 3 beam, maybe a turret, you can brawl with any of them, but you really need that turret to work, right? And even with Ryan, turrets aren't enough. You're just going to die.
Okay.
Your advantage is exactly what you're doing right here. It's to take a slight off angle and poke them in the back with alt fire, right? That's your advantage, right? You don't necessarily have to hard flank to do this. I do like you on an angle, but you need to be careful that you don't get too close to Genji and Venture and Rhine. We saw that throughout this entire game, right? So manage your range. So let's start with that, okay? So are you managing your range versus these characters right now?
Right now, I am.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think this is really, really good. Yeah, this looks really good to me. The question then, and this is why we should have started with this, frankly. Why does this impact how you place your turrets?
Because Genji could come back and peel
Right.
through the Juno.
Right.
Ryan can.
Right.
Ana can see me too, and then I'm just in a kill box ready to die.
Right. So the idea is that I know these guys want to get close to me, so I'm going to use turrets so that they cannot get close to me without dying. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That should remind you of this, right?
Yes.
That's how you won this 1v1 and this 2v1 was because of turrets, right? So remember when we talked about how you could beat any character in this game if you're able to prepare. That's Symmetra. That's Symmetra. And that's why my real problem with these turrets is not that, you could have predicted where the Juno would go or maybe scout a little bit better. It's also looking at the situation right here. I'm either looking for a TP bomb on Ana, right? Or I'm turreting with anticipation of being pushed. That's it. And so randomly kind of turreting here, kind of going back to what we talked about a year ago, right? This doesn't make enough sense for me to like it, if that makes sense.
When I did it in game, I was like, let me scout because I don't want to peek, and I was going to use but there's a better use of them.
Exactly. And I actually really, I think, like, obviously with the exception of like Widowmakers here, but even the angle that you're peeking, like, you need information. You need this information desperately, and I'm like, you need it more than anything else. Okay, so this fight was pretty much just lost before you even got set up. Okay, so you have all the information that you need in terms of the comp, in terms of the setup. So where should your positioning go from here?
Top right.
Top right, which is what you do, to be fair. What is this Genji Venture? What is their advantage here?
Genji can get here quicker than me.
Genji can get here quicker, and who wins this fight? The small room, all things being even.
Genji and Venture.
So how do you swing things in your favor here? How do you rotate to here? Right, turret. So I want you to coach your micro here. So your mentality going into this room need to be different. So what would your actions look like? You turn the corner. What do you do? Right here.
I throw turrets.
Throw a turret immediately, right? Maybe even you don't even push her until you have two turrets, right? You sit here, you poke, and then you walk in with turret, and then TP. And you might even have teleport on your finger hovering over it, right? Because you got to be ready to get out just in case, right? The problem here is there isn't that level of preparation, right? So now you get bullied out. You see that? There's a window of vulnerability here, okay? Now here's another question. Now this one's going to be real spicy. Should you teleport here?
Well, I knew my team was not pushed up at all, And if I mean, so I weighed the cost in my head right here, and my idea was I could get the Genji and maybe the Venture to try to jump up to me and bait their cooldowns and then just teleport back.
Sure.
And that way my team could push forward and try to give
Sure.
some.
I love it. Seems
That's
fine
what
to me. Yeah, I mean, it seems okay to me.
And then I go back and then I tap out.
Right, but I think the idea of what you did was totally fine. Okay. In terms of the timing of things, there was action being had, so you were okay to take action on your end. That's as simple as. Now, if you want to talk about the more in detail, and this one might be worth taking notes on, okay?
Okay.
The greedier the play, in other words, I'm going to try to do something really silly, the later you need to go.
Okay.
So, like, let's say that you wanted to go for this, and this was all in. This teleporter was going to get destroyed. You know you're going to get stranded. You had to kill the honor. Don't do it now. Wait like 1 or 2 seconds.
To kind of piggyback off of this, so I see that this Ryan is making more space than my Hazard can do. So my team is getting kind of stalled or maybe even a little bit pushed back here. Because, I mean, they did get pushed back because the Ryan pushed in. How do you... Like, because sometimes I'll try to make space on Symmetra by, baiting cooldowns or making them pull back. How do I weigh if that's the correct decision to do?
That's just how you play Symmetra. You don't play you don't go into this when you went for this play here. Maybe you were thinking, "Oh, I need to create a space on the angle flank so that my Hazard that's losing the tank trade is able to win the tank trade and therefore create space." I mean, that's really what that is that's just alphabet soup. It's meaningless. All you're doing is you're taking an angle that's good for Symmetra and have a plan. That's it. If your Hazard was winning the tank trade, this would still be a good play. It doesn't matter. It's just a good play. The only thing that matters is my tank doing something? The answer is yes, so then that's it, right?
Simplify what I'm thinking about.
Exactly.
I'm not playing the other characters.
Exactly. Like you sound like one of those 2017 Overwatch guys. Like you need to do the tank and then win the tank trade and assist the tank trade and just a whole lot of words. Don't mean anything, right? And it's like you said, it's really simplifying your process. This is a good play. Going in here is good because it is a flank, and it is a flank that you have a plan for, a turret or a TP or something like that, right? That's it. That's all we need to know. If they were on Widow, you'd probably still take this angle, right? You just do it differently. Instead of, like, let's say they're on Widow. Instead of going for the turrets here, what would you do?
If they're on Widow?
Yeah.
Where is she positioned?
Well, that's the real question, right? You don't know.
Yeah. I would, if I don't know where she is, I'd wait till she shoots her first shot to see if I can hear it. And then she's like playing bottom back over here, shooting down main. I'd take this top right, and then I would ego duel her with turrets because I have 3 turrets here.
Right. So all of a sudden, it's actually the same plan, but just a slightly different use of your cooldowns. You know what's that?
Yeah.
It's the same angle. It's just a different use of your cooldowns. That's it. And the difference between Widow and Genji, to simplify the process, is range. That's it. Okay. Range. Your advantage over Widow is not your poke. It's your ability to get up close, ironically, right? Or to take silly angles, right? Your advantage versus Genji, I mean, he could contest you in the silly angles, but not if you're far away and not if you have turrets. That simple.
Yeah, okay.
Simplify. Okay. Now, this is the real question. You know he's there, but you're standing inside of your team. So this angle sucks, right? But then you want to be here, but you can't be here. Why?
Because he has all his cooldowns.
Well, can you not force his cooldown? I mean, we just did this earlier where you were able to, prevent, or in theory could have prevented him from going in. But why is that not possible now?
It's not possible because he can burst me down more.
That's it. Can you set up?
Yeah, I can't set up at all.
You can't set up, right? So you got to think cleverly.
I can set up here.
Right. So here's the question. If I said you have to go in this room, like you don't have an option to go elsewhere, how would you take this duel? You have to do it. What do you do?
Okay, I would throw 1 turret, so he wastes 1 thing, and then I would teleport to the right window here, because you can, on that little black thing, you can teleport there.
Yeah.
Before I teleport in, I'd animation cancel my turret so it places while I TP through.
Yep.
And then right-click him and then play for beam.
Yeah, and then potentially even you can just teleport out if things start to go south, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so all of a sudden, maybe this is an angle you can contest. You just gave me a pretty darn good plan for one. So the problem between you and Genji is not that you can't contest him up close. It's what we said earlier. You just have to set up for it. You just got to have a plan. You can't just show up and hope stuff works. You got to lock in, right? So like, let's say that this room is blocked off. You can't go up here. Let's say, heck, the Ryan's up here. You obviously can't push him out. So what's your advantage versus this situation if you can't take the angle? What could you do?
I can take this right room bottom here, or
Like
even
here?
go after the on. Yeah.
Yeah. You could sit here in the corner and poke. You could, like you said, walk main, maybe TP to Ana, maybe. Might be risky. Heck, you could even take the little angle here. Drop a couple of turrets. Ryan drops the pushes you. You teleport out. There's always a solution with this character. Always. It might not be a great solution compared to something like a Tracer or Sojourn or Widow or a Pharaoh, but it is always a solution. So if we look at what happens here, the problem is that you're giving him attention, but you're just kind of existing, right? You're not really taking any sort of space. You're not really taking any sort of angle. So, and then when you do go up, you go up totally blind. Totally blind. Now, in theory, you could have teleported back up, but I don't see the animation canceled the turrets. I don't see a preemptive turret.
No, I just went.
You just went, right. So that's no bueno.
Positioning turret.
Okay.
Teleported low health, which was bad.
Yeah, it's fine. At this point, some of your errors are just because you're a bit overwhelmed and the pressure of life coaching. That's normal. That's okay. Now, this is the spicy take. You ready for this one?
Right.
No, it's not even a spicy. It's just objective truth, okay? This is a good sim wall. This is a good sim wall. But your concept of sim wall seemed a little bit flawed, which was I have to get value out of the sim wall now, and it gives me invulnerability. At least you didn't think that, but you're like, my supports can heal me through that. Right. No.
I saw the Mercy, and I thought she was gonna.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I'm with you on that one. But the reason why I'm still dying on this hill is because it's still bad. It's still bad. The fact that Orion can swing on two of you guys and keep you guys occupied during an ultimate is not a good resource trade. Your Mercy needs to be pocketing the Sojourn. Your Mercy, call me crazy, she needs to be pistoling that backline with Valk, right? Off of your sim wall. See, your sim wall, what is your sim wall really going to do here? If your team takes the fight here, what can your team do with that sim wall? Do you see it? Look, do you see it?
Let's see. So if they're pushing up
You
here,
may not know the answer to this. You're not stupid if you don't know.
My team can push to the right, and
That's
they're
it.
all stuck behind sim
That's
wall,
it.
and
That's
they
it.
can't shoot us.
That's it. Let me ask you a question. Does your Hazard like the sim wall?
No.
Oh, no. I disagree. As somebody who's put in 25 hours of Hazard, I'm going to kiss you on the forehead. This is a beautiful sim wall because I can actually engage this backline without getting slept and naded instantly.
Okay.
You see this?
Yeah.
Now, I know that was not your intention, but it doesn't need to be in your intention. If you sim wall down the middle of the enemy team during a fight, your team is going to use it, right? Your team is going to use it. So here it goes. Sim's in, Hazard's in. Hazard actually turns his back on the Ana and can get away with it, right? And the Ryan is taking a lot of damage here. The problem is when you sim walled, you stopped playing Symmetra. You started playing Reaper. Like, I don't know what you got going here, right?
Yeah.
This is an ego that you have to earn when the Ryan's low, when you have a tier 3 beam. This isn't, oh, I'm relying on the Mercy pocket, because even with the Mercy pocket here, it still would be a bad resource trade. I just need more reasons from you that this is going to be the right play.
Would you say that this is a bad habit learned? Because I usually play with a Mercy player, and I'll be like, pocket me.
Yes, probably.
Okay.
It's just not a good resource trade. This is something I need you for a tier 3 beam, right? Or the Ryan's like getting a little bit of pressure first, right? You have to earn the Ryan push, right? You can't just go in cold. Sim wall doesn't help you with that, right? So the thing is what you could do here is you should still play Sim. What should you do right now? Good Sim wall. Now what?
I don't have TP. I can rotate down with my Hazard.
Yeah, just drop off the edge. Keep throwing alt fire. Keep dropping. Make this guy chase you this entire way, and then maybe you get that beam. Maybe you can just keep S-king and beaming and S-king and beaming, and then all of a sudden now he's way out of position. The backline's cut off. Hazard's trading the backline, and if you die, at least it was expensive. But the key thing is just play Sim. Don't run in the middle of the tank just because you pop Sim wall.
Okay.
So your same game plan that you had earlier, don't change it. Just make it better. I see this all the time with, like, I'm trying to think of a good example. Nano tracers, right? Nano tracer. I'm going to go kill their tank. No, stop. Just, you're on the flank. Just do more of what you're just doing. Just do more of it, right?
Don't do what Sim does best.
Right. Do what you do on any character. Just do it better. Now, this was, okay, I think Genji's here. Okay, Genji's not here. Okay, I know Genji's over there. I teleport forward. I alt-tab again.
It's just it's my channel's just deemed it Seggy things at this point because I do it so often.
Now, I cheated for you here. I cheated for you here because I said Nanoblade's coming in, so you gotta do something silly. Your first response was peel the Nanoblade. Wrong. First response, as you learn later, is just trade backlands, okay? So chaos, right? So you go, you know what? I'm just going to go backline. You heard Ryan, you saw Genji, and so honestly, this is fine. The mistake here that I want to fixate on is actually not your lack of awareness on the Venture. Because to be fair to you, Venture was here for like 15 seconds hiding. That's pretty rough. Like that's crazy. The mistake was this here. Watch this right here. Do you see this here? Watch your posture. Watch how you're playing this on a duel. You see how aggressive you are? How close you are getting to her? When I say rat mode, I don't mean you have to get a kill now.
Okay, just be annoying.
Just be annoying. Hit your alt fire, see what she does. Listen, see what she does. See if she panics or sleep grenade, and then decide from there. Like, again, you got to think, like, what are my advantages here? My advantages are that I could sit here in the corner and poke her out, and because of that turret, she's going to start taking a little tickle damage. She can't really back into the room. Oh yeah, for us, the stupid replay bug. But your problem was that, yes, the Venture was there, but you rushed it, you forced it. You wanted now. I gotta go now. No, just be a rat. Be patient.
Like, I didn't even have to walk out. I could have just orbed, and then the Juno would have never... Okay.
That's it. You sit out.
Play,
now, obviously,
play my range.
Exactly.
Play my range.
Again, play your range. Now, with Ana, it's a little bit trickier, right? I get it. Like, she's a sniper, you're a sniper. You can just play patty cake. But the point being is that there's no reason for you to rush things, right? Again, you're not a tempo character. You're not cooldown reliant beyond teleporter. You can sit here for a while, right? Once Nade and Sleep are down, that's pretty much the character's peak. That being said, I will say that you read the situation correctly because you did force 1-2 supports, and then the Genji just died. So, in fact, I actually... No, never mind. I was going to say, I think they misused Nano, but it was your team using Nano. Okay. This is another one of those moments, right? Like, you look at this right now, you're in a perfect angle and a perfect situation to not only... survive the duel, not only win the duel, but win the duel and then continue to push that backline afterwards. What's the problem?
I don't set up turrets because I know Genji's going to dive me. He has
dash. You know it.
He has deflect.
Yep. Your range here is actually quite good. Like, I think this angle is perfect. Like, this is exactly what you want. You're just outside of dash range, so you can hit some orbs here. You get 2 orbs in a row. It forces anti-nade. He did hit you with dash. That's crazy. Like, you got the pixel on it. But yeah, I mean, you have a turret or 2 here. You're fine.
I win, but I placed them late, and I realized that when he deflected, and I was like, oh, I can just place a turret, and then it just didn't matter because he can burst me.
But that's one. See, this is where you go. That's where maybe old you would have gone. Of course I lost to a Genji. But no, I'm not happy with that. I'm very annoyed that you rolled on the perfect angle with 3 turrets and you lost a duel to Genji. That shouldn't happen.
I'm not utilizing them.
Right, and this is the best part about it is like somebody who's coached at Overwatch League level. If I see freaking proper on Genji here, and this is backbone and Symmetra, right? Backbone and Symmetra, proper and Genji does not dash this sim with 3 turrets. Doesn't do it. Doesn't do it. He's gonna lose. Proper and Genji's gonna lose this. He's not gonna take it. 278, 5 HP, even just 2 turrets here. No way. So part of it is always like, if I could aim better, I could beat the Symmetra. Sometimes, but if the Symmetra positions like you did there's no way. Symmetra just wins.
So I think I kind of identified in like my thought process here, an error is like, how do I determine is it really just learning the game when, I want to hold this angle defensively, or because initially I was like, I'm going to save my turrets in case I get the Ana low, but maybe I should have just thought differently because I saw the Genji there. I knew he had dash. He was going to come for me, so I should have placed turrets before. But how do I know that before even looking?
Well, it's more of prioritizing on playing your range versus the enemy team kind of as a whole, right? So Ana's not going to one-shot you, right? So there's not really an like, she definitely can change how you play a little bit, but it's not a priority. When you're playing Symmetra, you can't really pay attention to the entire enemy composition, right? But you can pay attention to a couple of people that change how you position. When you're playing Symmetra, your number one priority is who on the enemy team changes how I position. Number one priority.
Okay.
Genji Venture, stay away. turret duels, right? Rhine, stay away, period, until you get him low, right? Widow, flank. Pharah, flank, right? You have hard flank, right? Tracer, turret here. Again, you're not scared of Tracer up close as long as you got that turret, right? But what it is it's your entire thought process should be mostly dominated by Genji, Venture, and Reinhardt this match.
Okay.
That's it. Like, generally the supports don't affect you too much, just based off of the nature of their kits, right? Maybe a flank Moira definitely impacts how you play, right? A Lucio that's being like Reddit Lucio definitely impacts how you play, right? Stuff like that. So for you, it's like you change how you position because of the composition that you're on. You're still on angles, but what angle do you want to take that changes?
Okay.
I mean, to be honest with you, you rolled out here partly just because this is just where you always roll out. But we could also give you a little bit of credit for this maybe being a conscious decision of keeping my distance until I know where people are positioned, right? Because of what I know they're playing. And it was the right play.
They took him from us.
This is just a question of there isn't an easy answer. Can you solve it? You tell me.
Took him from us.
It's rough, right?
Yeah.
Kind of feel
So
choked out a
Hazard's-
little bit. So this is really your window right here. You hit the alt fire on the Genji. There's a brief window of time where you can take an angle if you want to, but you got to go now. What do you got? Should you even take an angle?
I was gonna try to take top and hold this top right angle,
Okay.
but it didn't work out because Genji got low, and so I was like, okay, he won't come in.
If you're going to take this top right angle, again, what do you need to hold that angle?
turrets
That what you just used, right?
over
Like
here for no
if
reason.
you're here 1-2 holding the corner and you're holding teleporter ready to go, I'm sorry, but 2 turrets goes hard on that venture right now, right? 2 turrets is a big deal. You missed it. Now, would that have saved you versus a Nano Genji? I don't know, but that you needed that to work. And there's also a world there where you track Nano Blade and do again another gank flank play. You take top right and flank again, the same spot, turret the room, see what happens, right? You know what I'm talking about, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Time to put a stop to their efforts.
Now, this is where things get saucy. This is so important right here. Where Genji and Venture?
Main.
Okay. Do you like this angle?
I like this angle.
I like this angle, but it has the asterisks of you need to be set up. Are you setting up? Yes.
Yes.
So, the question is, what should you do right now?
Wait for an opening.
And what do you do in the meantime?
Alt fire.
Alt fire. So you make a really important mistake here that needs to not happen. You actually take a good angle, create some distance between yourself and Genji Venture, proactively set up, right? Preemptively set up, where are they going to come, just in case, right? But then you do this. Wait. I'm gaslighting you. I swear you teleported back, but I guess you don't. Never mind, you're good. We're cooking. See, this is important. Don't go back. Don't peel. Remember, we talked about this, right? Just stand here. Stand here and shoot. You even get the turret out here. I mean, this is Merry Christmas. They even had to use an ability to get to you, right? So that's no good. That's no good. A little bit of better tracking there. He dies. Hide from the Ana. I mean, that's like the least sexy fight that you could possibly have, but you actually hard carried that fight. You really did. That was beautiful. Why? Because you played your distance, and if they're going to get close to you, they're going to get turrets. That's it.
Okay.
Good job. Any questions about that?
No, I just feel like maybe like at the end I misused because I knew Carrie was gonna die, so I didn't need a teleport there, so I could have saved TP to reposition.
Sure. At that point, though, we're splitting hairs, right? We want the most important things, right? Again, simplify. Play your effective range on an angle that makes the most sense, and use your abilities in the way that makes sense. Right now, with where this fight's going to be happening, you think it's happening on the choke, so you're going to turret the choke. I'm okay with that. All right. How should you position? How should you use your teleporter? Are you going to be able to keep your distance from this position right here?
If I was further back, yes.
Yeah, I think so too. You know, you didn't know they were under here, but even if they came out here, I don't see any reason for you to be here. Just let the turrets do the work. Do the turrets do the work, alt fire from here, then consider taking an angle and teleporting elsewhere from there.
Taking shape.
This was just poor, to be honest with you. This is something that you shouldn't win without more information. You haven't really chipped her down. She's chipped you down, and you have no information to status for cooldowns. More of a micro thing, right? That should 100% kill you. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of just more of a micro thing. Now. Oh boy.
See, I see Riot. I want to left click.
Yeah, you gotta let him go. You gotta let him go. You really have to let him go. He's too far, right? If anything here, this is where you throw alt fire, maybe throw a turret here. I mean, maybe you're like, well, I'm not really close to anything. If you look at this and you're like, I can't help this, maybe I can help this, then I'm okay with that. But again, you gotta be really careful, right? Like, you gotta teleport up top, right? Just so where he can't hit you, or like, you gotta be really, like, you do to give you credit. But ultimately, you don't really do much of anything anyway because, you know, it's a Rhine, so just be careful. Don't chase the dope. That's where I think it's dopamine chasing. I think it's like, oh, I'm trying to help my team, but why is it always the guy with the shield or the tank that you want to help, right? It's just because he's big, you know? You got to be really careful with that. Okay. Now, let's talk about this one. Where you set up.
Yes.
You're expecting to be pushed, yeah.
Yes, just teleport died.
Yep. You still respond relatively well. Backed off. Big value.
Hold my creation.
TP there. Now what?
Wall.
Okay. Would you be able to push off of this wall?
I
Tricky, isn't it?
I would say yes.
Okay.
Because I mean, I can't push top, but I felt like I could have. What my thought process was is like, oh, Ryan's charging. I can wall him off from here. Like, I'm doing the 2016 Overwatch guide.
Yeah.
And my thought process was Moira's here. She can kill me. She can also damage him. If anyone pushes me, then I can kill him. But I don't even end up dropping.
Sure.
I
You do drop.
but-
You do drop. My point being is that even if you can't push, the symbol, does it still get value?
Yes.
Yes, it still does. It's still a split. It's still a big freaking, what is it, 10,000 HP? 15,000? Yeah, it's something crazy, right? So, I don't hate this. This was just to make sure that you win it. It just was unfortunate that you guys were unable to get these staggers.
I could have if I didn't, but that's just because I haven't played enough Overwatch.
Yeah, I got you. Are you set up for the gank here? Are you set up for this play? You got a turret here, and you got an angle, full HP charge, alt fire, no teleporter. How do you play this?
Super safely.
Super safely. You got it. So this is fine. Throw an alt fire. Get out.
Okay, great.
Get out. And you weren't set up for it, right? You're not set up for that much greed. Not versus a Reinhardt. No way.
If I had teleporter, I could, but I didn't.
Correct, but you didn't. Right, exactly.
So is that right there? That's what I would call a timing error. Or
Yes.
is that more of just a greed error?
That is timing. Okay. That's tempo is what it is. Tempo is the timing of which your character has spikes in value, right? And for you, we talked about Symmetra is not the most tempo-oriented character, right? Like, you're generally about the same in value, except with teleporter. Like, that's the big doozy right there. I think turrets as well, but mostly teleporter. So if I have teleporter, I can take greedier angles. It's that simple. If I don't have teleporter, I can't get as close to people, otherwise getting ruined. Again here, Genji cannot push you here. He does, he dies. So you know that, so then you're able to peek confidently and poke. I don't even mind the turret there to bait some reaction. And then when you do go for Rhine, you wait until he's low, you wait until you have a bit of a beam, and then you ruin him.
Do this more instead of trying to hit him when he's full HP.
Right, exactly. It's more of a, even this here, like, this is crazy. Never teleport into a Venture. Actually, no. Venture's half. Venture's being hit by your turrets. Venture doesn't have burrow. You know? That's it. You paid attention to the timing of things. You paid attention to the tempo, the status of CDs. That what Symmetra does versus these characters is you hold angles and you force those deflects, right? You burn that shield a little bit. You force that nade, and then you go in hard, right? You don't start going in hard right from the get-go versus a Genji or a Venture or a Rhine, right? You got to earn it, right? Now, it's a Widow, different story. I don't mind this. This is when we were talking Nano Blade here.
The lead is within our grasp.
Now that was dumb, because what are you about to do?
Teleport.
You're about to teleport, right? And you're going to need to go into that angle prepared, right? Because I like the angle, but it's a close angle.
It's my turn.
Force him out, sure.
I missed turret. I should have put turret in room.
That's okay. Like, I could live with mechanical errors.
System optimized.
Now, I actually don't mind this except for two things. One, you needed a turret here or a turret here. Like, you had 2 turrets, you needed them here to make this painful. Number 2, I don't love it given the fact that it's Nano Blade. This is just more of a micro thing. Like, given the old economy, this was bad, right? No Nano Blade, even Blade, you can hold this angle safely. But just versus Nano, you just can't. So I think probably what you should have done is thrown a couple of, and then kind of hid and listened and waited for teleporter. And then you could just preemptively set your teleport across, and then either he waits to Nano Blade until you have teleporter over, which is not good, or he goes early and then not good. But even this, like, it's just, if you have a couple of turrets here, if you have teleporter, it's just not a great trade. It's not a great trade for him. I think that's mostly it. So I want to simplify things for you. I know you're smart, you understand stuff, but I want to simplify things for you. Okay. I want to take this down to this. This is all I want us to think about, okay? So Symmetra, prioritize on who, let's just put it this way. Who are enemies you must position, or adjust positioning. We'll say position around. Play your effective and that's it. Who are the enemies you must position around? Play your effective range and or find your effective angle versus those enemies. Use turrets to complement that angle. And that's it. Okay. And obviously, turrets complementing that angle might be a TP bomb, right, on a really, really squishy backline, right? But it's the same thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. A couple things to keep an eye on. Keep an eye on forcing pushes with the wall into rough comps. Still, keep an eye on random turrets without scouting early in fights. Pay attention to TP cooldown to time your action safely. It's not about being more defensive. I mean, this is something I say a lot, right? It's not about being more defensive. It's about being more wise with your aggression. Like, you think about how you'll play versus a full sniper comp, you're going to do some really silly stuff, right? But it's calculated. It's very calculated, right? So, okay. Do you have any questions? I know there was a lot to break down there.
I guess the main question is just like a general question.
Of course.
Compared to what we talked about last time, do you think I've improved or, quote unquote fixed what we talked about last time besides, because I feel like I still did it some this time.
Yes. Well, man, that's how the nature of improvement, right? Yeah. 2 steps forward, 1 step backward, right? And clearly, rank-wise, you made a lot of progress, especially at some points in time. I think the problem is not that you don't know how to use the turrets. I think if I were to ask you what were the appropriate use of turrets, what's the appropriate angle here, and we did it a couple times in the review, you always knew the correct answer. It's obviously the inconsistency of applying that level of effort.
Okay.
And sometimes you just kind of go on an angle and throw alt fire, right? Or you freeze up, or I kind of want to chase a shield, right? Nah, you got to be like, it's 4D chess all the time, right? You can get to a high rank just kind of turning your brain off and flanking and throwing alt fire, right? With decent mechanics. But like, you're at a point in time where that's just not going to be good enough. And especially if there's any bad matchups, like let's say you have a tough time versus Venture or Ryan or Hazard or Junkrat or whatever, like you really are going to have to be really clever with how you set up and how you angle and what angles, like being more confident poking and less confident running it down. Or I'm confident taking an angle, but I have to take an angle with a turret, right? That's not something I'm consistently thinking about as much. So, whereas before, I felt like you didn't have a plan at all. Now it feels like there's a bit of a plan to at least angle, but you're not always considering what you're playing versus as much.
Okay. And then I guess the next obvious question I have is, was that game lost due to me? I know it's a team fight.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the answer is almost always yes. I think I would say that the vast minority of gameplay reviews that I've done, Bronze to Grandmaster, were not lost because of the player I'm reviewing. Because I think most games, if you played, I won't even say perfectly, but if you played your peak, right, that you're capable of, you would have won that game. Nobody can play their peak all the time. But I think most games are winnable if you play your peak, right? Your DPS were trolling. I don't think you were the worst player in the lobby, right? But in terms of the game,
I could have done a lot better.
You could have done a lot better. Now, to keep in mind, don't set unrealistic expectations. You're never going to play at your peak, no matter how disciplined you are. There's just going to be natural cliffs and valleys. But I think that there is a sense of ownership for even a rough map, rough composition like that. There's lots of ways to flex.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Let's see. Our time's up, correct?
Yeah, but I've got a few more minutes if you have any other questions.
Okay. Let's see. So you gave me a couple of things here to work on, and
yes.
What would you were watching me when you were watching me play? What would you say is the number one thing that you were like, this needs to be fixed?
Number one thing is I think you need to simplify what you're looking for in a position.
Okay.
I think you tend to overcomplicate the planning side of things, which is natural for such a planning-oriented character like Symmetra, when in reality, the only question that you need to be asking is, what angle do I need to be playing to do stuff? You know, do I want to play a deeper flank? Do I play a shallow angle and poke with turrets? Do I go for a TP bomb? Just to answer that question, right? Just answer that question. Simplify what you're doing. And when I was asking you, what's your advantage versus the enemy composition, you know, you were going to like 7-dimensional earth-shattering conclusions when really all I wanted to say is that like you could outpoke against Junkrat, right? So like you could take longer angles without getting your head blown off, right? That's all I'm looking for. And that's most heroes in Overwatch. It's like you either have heroes with range or you have heroes with mobility. Symmetra has a little bit of both. So you really got to find which of those utilities do I want to leverage, right? Which of those do I want to leverage? So, and then once you take that angle, you lean into it with turrets and so on. Because even like your shields, right? Shields just means you can take deeper flanks without needing healing as much. So there's so many little things that you can leverage into. So try to simplify that thought process for yourself.
Okay.
Poke comps, flank. Like hard flank, right? Get close, right? You know, divier, brawlier stuff, take a little bit wider angles, get a little poke in there. And if you're going to get brawly, do it with a turret, right? Do it with a TP. It's not a hard rule, but it's just a good basic guideline.
Okay.
Good question.
I'm trying to just really quickly think.
That's fine. That's fine. And also, if you don't remember all of your questions and you do come up with later questions, you just message me. It's fine.
Okay. Awesome.
There's no rush.
So big thing that I hear a lot of that's talked about in the Symmetra community is your, you know, almost like mercy beam. Like, you know, you have a ratio of your beam versus
irrelevant.
Right click.
Completely irrelevant. Completely irrelevant. Any community becomes kind of like obsessed with statistics. It's just the nature of communities because it's something that we can measure, right? And measuring in statistics is fun. It's satisfying. Completely irrelevant. Like legitimately completely irrelevant. The biggest thing that you kind of have to think in mind is alt fire is going to be whenever you don't really have time to tier it up. When you do, the beam's going to be better. But if you don't, you're going to burst with alt fire. The one advantage of alt fire as well is it's more of like preemptive damage. So you come into that fight, the duel starts, and you've already done like whatever, 110 damage, right? That's the advantage of the alt fire versus the beam. But what you need to do instead is you need to look on a case-by-case basis. Should I be beaming here? Should I have been alt firing? You know, I alt fire a Genji to try to force deflect, but I'm going to go ahead and start beaming him sooner than I would with other characters if he still has deflect, right? It's just a case-by-case basis, really. You know, if you get a tier 2 or tier 3 beam, the answer is probably almost always beam if you can reach something. But can you reach it is the question.
Okay.
If you play your effective range versus the heroes that you're playing, the question kind of answers itself most of the time.
Okay, I mean, like if I'm going against Ash Widow, I can't get any beam in.
well, that's the tricky thing. What you do is you TP bomb, alt fire, beam immediately up close.
Okay.
If you can get to an Ash Widow, you would beam most likely, right?
Yeah.
If you could
But
get close, if you
I
could get
can't,
close.
then I'll
But if you
obviously
can't, right, it's more about the
Right,
angles.
okay.
Exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Awesome.
I think the answer is more often than not either intuitive or something that you need to review on a case-by-case basis. I will not have any new information that you don't already have. But seriously,
Okay.
don't worry about the stats. Like, no, I will say that objectively. Do not worry about the statistics in that regard.
Okay. And then my last question is kind of just more general. I don't remember if I paid for private or public. Is this
Sure. It's up to you.